If you're listening to this podcast, there's a good chance that you're a hunter or you just enjoy the great outdoors. Now's the time to step up. There have been countless efforts to vilify hunters, denounce the legitimacy of the science-based wildlife management model. There's no science to this stance, and it is solely emotionally charged. We don't want to see what happened with the grizzly hunt replay itself again with the remaining large carnivores and big game species. It's a slippery slope, folks. We need to stand together. Now is the time for hunters to be united across all organizations and show our combined support. Please go to wildsheepsociety.com/act now and follow the steps. It doesn't take much time, and it will help save the future of hunting. This applies to residents and non-residents alike. Please, let's use our voice and be heard. On with the show, folks. This is episode 40 of the Wilderness Locals podcast. On this episode, Wacedog and myself do a Q&A with questions from Instagram. This podcast is brought to you by Kafaru International, the toughest hunting gear on the planet, bar none. Frontiersman gear, high quality, completely custom, handmade knives in the heart of the Peace Country. And as always, we're brought to you by Just Shooting Arrows, BC's premier archery shop.
Are you gonna pull up the questions or what? Because I sent you the ones I had, so we could so they were all in one spot, you know?
Yeah, we did a Q&A, right?
Yeah, word. Is that what we're doing? Q&A?
I guess.
Teach you how to do the Dougie? Not a damn one know how to do the Dougie.
Everybody know.
Did you ever hear that Blake Shelton song?
No, what's that?
He's like, not a damn country boy knows how to do the Dougie.
I don't know if that's true, Blake.
Oh, yeah. I don't know what the Dougie is. I know a guy named Dougie. Good worker.
Great worker, Dougie. I feel like you could do the Dougie.
I don't know. I'm not much of a Dougie guy.
I don't know. You kind of seem like a Dougie guy.
Put your palms out front, lean side to side. They gon' be on you when they see you hit that Dougie ride. Ain't nobody fucking with my bro from Morningside.
They're gonna do something when they see you do the Dougie, right?
You gotta air this on the beginning.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, I will. 100%.
Gang.
So we have a Q&A, right?
Q&A with Ty and Wacedog.
Wacedog and Ty doing a Q&A. Here we go. Let's start. There's some funny ones. Let's start with Jake Downs. He wants to hear us talk about forming a mob to storm the government and force them to open the border so he can come hang out with us. I added the last, but I'm not sure if he wants to hang out with us, but I assume because Wasey's going to learn how to Dougie.
Yeah, we'd have to form a militia of some kind.
Yeah, but I don't know if a Canadian militia, what it looks like. I think it's just dudes with like doubles and Timbits and like rusty Ford trucks, right?
I would totally be there though. I'd be riding in the back on a like Walker Texas Ranger with lever action 30-30, just storming Parliament.
You know the kind of guy that I would be during like a revolution? I would be like a guy that is like 100 yards off to the side, just checking it out. Like I would just be like, I would be like, yeah, but not in the line of fire. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally.
Like I'll look through binoculars at the mayhem and then I'll go home and have like a nice rest or something.
Yeah. I don't know. The border thing, I don't know. It's weird.
Do you think the border is going to get opened up?
No.
Before hunting season?
I kind of had hopes of it, but the way that this country's being run, I doubt it.
I don't think so.
No, it's not going to happen.
It's May 18th. So what do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 3 months till hunting season. Three months and 10 days or so. till general season opens. But I mean, August 1st is when all the northern BC hunts open up, basically, like stones and goats. And, we're, what's that, 2.5, almost 3 months. I can't see it happening, man. We're not even allowed to travel around in BC right now. I can't travel 3 hours from my house.
Yeah, no, I can't see it happening either.
Yeah,
it's frustrating.
It is frustrating, but I don't know. Whatever. Make the best of it, right?
Yeah. So I had a guy ask bears what to look for in a big bear and how you bait. Well, how I bait, just I use a lot of oats and grease, and you can usually find a wholesaler for who sells bear bait in Alberta. I can't remember the name of that outfit, but that's who I used to buy some stuff from too. But other than that, I just trap beavers and use them and keep it simple. The cheaper you can feed bears and kill them, the better.
You do realize you sound completely absurd to a dude that doesn't trap, right? Yeah. I just keep it simple. I learned how to kill another species to feed that other species so I can kill that species.
Yeah.
It's like, what? What are you talking about? Keep it simple.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't know.
Are you on drugs? What?
Just, that's how you do it. Well, you can buy beavers off guys too, like trackers, if you want. But I just did it myself.
Can you get them off like Craigslist?
Oh, probably. I would imagine skin beaver.
Because like whenever I type beaver into Craigslist, it goes sideways really fast.
Yeah, skinned beaver.
Yeah, no, do not want.
But that's how I bait. Just oats, fryer grease, and if you can get your hands maybe on some meat scraps or beavers, just keep it simple and kill some bears. And then what I look for in a big bear, I don't know. What do you look for in a big bear, Ty?
I don't know. I just shoot the first bear that I get a chance at. I'm just kidding. I don't know. Like, just I am much greener in bear hunting than you are. But I mean, I go. Ears look small on their head. Make sure they don't look lanky. Make sure they don't have a long snout. Make sure they're not all legs, right? And once they get that sort of roll in their forehead, I start to get excited, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that crease in the forehead's a giveaway. And when you're baiting, if the bear is above the top of the barrel, 50-gallon drum, he's a shooter for sure. And usually if they got that blocky head, like their eyes are like little beady eyes and their square face.
What is them being German have anything to do with them being big?
German?
Squarehead.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and you just people like, if you see a big bear, you go, wow, that's a big bear. So if you have to think about it, it's probably not a big bear. But with that being said, I had a bear a few years ago on a bait. I didn't want to shoot it. I thought it was an okay bear. I thought it was a Pope and Young bear, but it wasn't something I wanted to shoot. But he just come out of the den. He just come out of the den real skinny. And I brought a buddy in because his boar was kind of running everything off the bait. And my buddy shot him and he ended up going 20 and 7/16. So he's a freaking giant.
Whoops.
Yeah. Well, it's okay. But that just goes to show you how they can fool you. But
mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think it's really hard to. I mean, is there an animal that has more ground shrinkage than a bear?
No,
I don't think so, because it's like you see, like when I've hunted bears with my bow, you get close to them and it's like, okay, I'm 12 yards from you. You're a bear, so you're bigger than me, and you're a giant black blob, and I'd rather you don't come my way. So I feel like shooting. I feel like making you big enough.
Funny story. I'm kidding. I'm at work right now, so I'm in camp, but I was out checking some wells here 2 days ago, and there was a few fellas from the city out, and they had headshot an 80-pound sow. So I stopped and give them a hand to load it or whatever. And it was the smallest bear I'd ever seen. And they headshot it with the 30-06 and just canoed that poor bear's head.
Oh
no. No, it's fine. I said they're looking for a good eating bear, I guess, but I helped them load it and give them a hand to gut it and stuff. But
were they like, well, Wace, what do you think?
No, I don't know. It's not a bear I'd shoot personally, but
do they know you? Do they know the Wacedog lineage?
No, they had no idea. They had no idea.
Okay,
good. That's okay. I didn't. I stopped and high-fived him, helped him load it. It was funny when I loaded it. I grabbed it by the scruff of the neck and the back, and I threw it in the box of the truck. It was the smallest bear ever.
It looks like a lab.
Yeah, it was so super tiny.
Oof.
So that's just good. I don't know. People, I don't know. If you don't look at a lot of bears, you don't know. Like I stare at, in the springtime, man, I bet you I stare at 200 bears. Like I look at bears a lot. And when I was baiting, I would freaking stare at bears a lot. So
yeah, I bet you kind of get the reps in looking at them and get the idea of what a big bear looks like, right?
It's the same with probably goat guys or mountain goat guys, right? Like they can look at a mountain goat and tell you right away.
Yeah, our sheep guys, like Ronnie. I send Ronnie a photo of a sheep that I see while I'm out, and I'm like, "Oh, not quite legal." He's like, "What's wrong with you?"
Yeah, exactly, right. You just know right away.
Yeah. What about that sheep I sent you and Ronnie of a photo when we were on the way into Alberta last year. Me and Chatty got sidetracked there. We saw some sheep. We're like, let's go up the mountain. And that was big.
Did you put a move on that ram or what? Yeah, you did. Didn't
you? Oh yeah, dude. We were detoured by like 5 hours. We didn't get there till way after dark.
That's awesome.
It was sweet. Chad's the right guy for that. I'm like, let's go. Bails out of the truck, rock and roll.
Mm-hmm. So we had a question. We had another question from Paul Lucas. I don't know how you say his last name.
Lucas. I'm sure it's Lucas, right?
Lukacs. He asked bear hide care in the field until one can get it to the taxidermist. I'm usually within, distance of the truck or home when I'm hunting bears up in this country. So for me, I just get it. And then, you skin your bear, and then I usually just put it in a bag and put it in the freezer I have a freezer in my garage that holds like just my wild game stuff. And then
parts,
so you can get it to the taxidermist. But as far as like a remote camp or something, I mean, I've never had to do it, but I'd imagine you could probably salt. But the problem with bear is it's super greasy. So with that fat, you'd really want to get that fat off. So if you were going to do like a backcountry camp, it might be worthwhile to have a fleshing knife or like a draw knife for fleshing or something, and then maybe some salt to prep it. I'm not 100% sure.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't had to do it.
I like to, my move is I like to just trim them into a nice black house coat and just wear them until I get to the truck.
That's my move. That's what that guy shot that little bear said he was going to make some mitts. I'm like, sweet.
You can make a set of slippers and some mitts. Perfect. Yeah. Okay, so a guy that knows bears well, Jeff Lander, he wants us to talk about the Oilers. And I think we're both the wrong guys, right?
I do not follow mainstream sports at all. I actually kind of find it a little bit weird that a grown man wears another grown man name on their back. It's not my thing.
Me too, a little bit, actually. Yeah. I played hockey until I was like, 17 or 18. I played lacrosse till I was like 17 or 18, but I just got like, team sported out by the time I was like, having girlfriends and could drive and stuff like that. I was just over it, not into it. I haven't looked back. Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's just, I don't know. I don't know what to say about the Oilers. I don't know what's going on there.
Tennis. I don't know anything about tennis.
Cartmel Bow Life asks you want some stalking tips.
Yeah, I got that one too.
What do you think for stalking tips? I
would try to just be sneaky.
Be super sneaky. And
that's Wacey and there's always something to do. That's that kind of answer.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I'm really picky. Like, watch where you put your feet, and if it's a windy day, that's the best day.
Yeah. I think my stalking tip is use the terrain that you're in. Like, if there's land features that you can duck into, like in southern Alberta, there's those draws and those hoodoos and stuff. I wouldn't be afraid to drop down to the next one and get your wind right and you know, it's not, sometimes you have to move away from the animal to get close. I mean, that's something I had a major takeaway from Alberta. Like, with that land being so flat, you really have to use the topography to stay out of eyesight, and then make sure that when you are getting back into eyesight, you can figure out which direction they're facing and if they've spun or not. Right.
I think too, when stalking, don't get in a hurry until you need to get in a hurry. So for me, like, that's a hard thing to learn. You want to take your time, but if you got to move, you got to move. Right. So, I did a lot of, the reason I really started stalking bears really hard was, just to hone my skills, to be totally honest. I'll just sneak up. If I see a bear, I'll just sneak up on a bear without a weapon, just for something to do, just to see how close I can get. Just because I think it makes you a better stalker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it also depends on, like, when you're talking stalks, the distance of the stalk too. Like, you know, like the mule deer that I killed this year in BC. I mean, that was damn near probably 2.5, 3 hour trying to get within rifle range of the thing, right? And it was like sliding down scree canyons and getting cliffed out twice. And I don't know, somehow I banged my head on something. I was bleeding by the time I got to the buck. Like, but just trying to get through that without being loud, and for me, like, keeping track of wind the whole way in, right?
Oh yeah, you're in way harder terrain than me, though, for the most part.
Yeah, like the country we hunt elk in, the wind is tricky. Like, this would be a really good question for my buddy Hart, because, like, you get into like these like really peaky sort of rolling, like you're side hilling, and the wind will like change direction so quickly, and like you'll just get into a spot that's shaded and it'll be going the opposite direction. Like, the thermals are insane in some of the country we're in, and you really have to be on it. And like, you hear Snyder talk about those wind floaters, and I mean, those are massively helpful. I've never used the floaters, but I mean, I use the
puffer,
you know, just the puffer. And I mean, I think I annoy people with how much I'm running that thing.
Mm-hmm. So, what's your close range weapon of choice for a zombie apocalypse?
That's the Coltrane, right?
Yeah. I don't know. Depends. Like, you run out of bullets, right? So you need some like hand-to-hand stuff, I guess, probably eventually.
Yeah. Well, it depends on the rules too. Like some of these TV shows, it's like headshot only, or like some of them they're like shooting them 30 times. Like, what are we talking about here?
I think like Mossberg makes a 12 gauge called chainsaw. Have you ever seen that?
No.
That's what I would probably think I would run that with like maybe a hand-to-hand with a machete or something if I was doing apocalypse.
I'm looking up the Mossberg Chainsaw Zombie Edition. That thing is stupid. No.
Why not, man? It's just.
Why does it have that big dumb handle on it?
So that's for the pumps, bro.
What?
You can cycle or some sort of semi-auto, I guess. I'd keep
There's clearly a right answer here, and it's the like Mac 10, 2 Mac 10s. Go like full gangster.
Yeah, I guess.
Spray.
Yeah. Yeah, something fully auto maybe. I don't know. Fuck. That's a tough question.
Yeah, no, sure. So a short range, a close range weapon. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know.
A 12
hockey
gauge
stick. Hockey stick. We're Canadian.
A 12 gauge really fucks shit up, though.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
There's one for you here. You want to answer it?
Yeah. What is it?
Elk scouting / hunting tips for thick ass timber where the elk do not talk. Pretty please, I suck at elk hunting.
That's Stuart
McDermott.
Yeah. I've chatted with him a little bit, actually. He's from BC, but he lives in Alberta now. Thick timber elk scouting. That's sort of my wheelhouse. Depends. Like if you're in even in thick timber, elk still do the things that elk do, right? They still bed, they still feed, they still cruise around, they still do all that kind of stuff. They still need to drink, and there's still wallows, right? One thing that I like to do is pick an area that, pick a hill, pick a mountain, pick a like 10 kilometer square area and learn that area. Right. And I'm talking about an area that's big enough that it can hold all of that kind of stuff. It has escape terrain, it has cover, it has bedding, it has feed, it has water. And chances are, if you learn that country, you'll find the game trails that they're using, because elk are creatures of habit, man. And you'll find the trails that they're using. You'll find where they're feeding. You'll find a wallow or two, right? Come early season, those wallows are money. And if you get a couple cameras up, throw a salt block or two down and take an inventory of who's in the area. An old Hartinger trick there is to find last year's rubs. If you're in there in June, July, find last year's rubs, and that'll give you an indication of where the rut is going to happen or happen close to. Like the area that I hunt, pre-rut does not happen in the same place as rut. They move off, they come back, and they end up in the area that I hunt just before they move off to winter. So it's a little interesting where I am, but the area that they rut in is about 2.5 clicks away. It's right there. It's on a similar hillside. So I can catch them in my main spot, and if they're not there, I know where they are. So I loop around from the other side and then hunt them from the other angle, right?
Yeah, generally where the bulls summer, they're not there come the rut. They're usually with the cows. So you're better off honestly finding the cows.
Yeah, for sure. Like you might find a sporadic bull in the area that they're going to rut in, but they're not living there, right? When you start seeing, like if you're seeing bachelor groups of bulls come August, you're probably in trouble.
Yeah.
That's what I think anyways. And you're not seeing cows, but like if you're seeing bachelor groups that are alternating with cows, then you might be in okay shape, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Elk leave a lot of sign though, right? Like if you're hunting the same country, like it's going to look like cattle's gone through certain areas, right?
Oh yeah. People are even hunting elk. Guys are scared to move, like don't be scared to make noise, man. Like I've sat on a ridge and watched a herd of elk come up through some bush before, and it's like a freaking D8 cat. So
oh yeah. I think it was September 2nd last year, me and Chad dropped in on the herd, and we were convinced it was like dudes in a Jeep freaking making cow noises out the windows or something. It was insane. Like it sounded like trees were falling over and stuff. And I actually don't think it was the herd that we normally hunt. I think it was just another herd of elk moving through the area. Because it seemed like a big herd and it was loud, man. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Okay. Well,
I got one for you, Wace. It's from Chad. How does Wace turn into a goat and climb up and down those hoodoos like it's nothing? Apparently, Chaddy's legs were burning and chasing you.
really?
Apparently.
I don't know, man. I'm just, by that time of year, I've been chasing so many critters. My legs are usually keyed up. So
yeah, you're like a diesel. You're like an old school diesel, no turbo.
Oh yeah, man. I just slug away at it. Yeah. No, I don't know, man. I like to just hike, so it's kind of my thing, I think.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I feel bad for Chad.
I think though, for a tip for guys that want to be good at hiking, you don't got to be crazy at like getting in shape, but just get used to a weighted pack on your back. Learn what that feels like. Hike around with 40 pounds on your pack and nothing crazy. And that'll help you more than anything, I think.
Yeah, and like just get used to it sucking.
Yeah, embrace the suck.
Yeah, it never gets like doing a 30-kilometer day with a pack on with your gear in it and you know, having to turn it on a couple times to get in front of animals or whatever. It's going to suck.
Mm-hmm.
No way around it.
And one more tip too, like for anybody that doesn't do a bunch of hiking, if you feel any hot spots on your feet, stop and check. Don't push through. Don't push through. Even if you feel the slightest hot spot, make sure you stop, take time, take your boots off, take a look, because you'll smoke your feet and then that'll be it for the rest of the hunt.
I whiffed on the ball big time this year on my mule deer hunt with Ronnie. I was not managing moisture on the feet. I got my feet wet on day one and didn't deal with it until we were back at camp, which was, 18 or 19 kilometers later. Mm-hmm. My boots were wet and it was like negative, a million might have been, but it was wet enough where every day my boots would freeze rock solid because they were so wet. Like not like a little bit of like, oh, it's below freezing, my boots are frozen. Yeah, that's cute. These were like come out of the freezer and somebody had filled them with a hose. Like there was a layer of ice in my boots every day. And I just like, my feet were just torched. My feet still aren't right. It was bad, real bad, but manage your moisture, right?
What boots were you wearing?
Handwag, but
Hanwag?
It wasn't the fault. Hanwag, yeah. No, it wasn't the fault of the boot. It was my fault for not dealing with moisture in my feet. Right? I mean, that's an uninsulated boot too. It was. I was running a real heavy sock without a liner, and
I'll tell you one thing. I'll tell you one thing that I started doing was I buy them hiking socks, merino wool. They got like that heel, there's different thickness of hiking socks. I think you get like a light sock, a medium, or a heavy. I run a light merino wool hiking sock. It's got the little heel pad, and then the toe pad or whatever. So and since I started wearing them socks, even if I feel my feet rubbing, I won't skin my heels out. That's amazing.
Yeah, that was the issue with this hunt. It was cold enough where in the morning I was frozen on, day one or whatever, or day two, I guess it was. So I put on a heavy sock and I was just like, yeah, my feet are nice and warm. This is great. I'm just going to leave them. Feet started sweating. And then I think we crossed a creek. Did we cross? Anyways, doesn't matter. My feet just got drenched somehow, either sweat or dunk in my boot above the top of the boot. And I just didn't deal with it. I mean, I keep spare socks in my pack too. It was a mistake. But yeah, no, I normally run like a Darn Tough sock. They have, it's a merino sock, but they have like kind of a built-in liner to them. There's like two layers, right? There's like a tight layer that goes on your foot and then like a little bit of a looser layer. So when you get that kind of like friction blister going on, like those hot spots, if you run a liner, you won't get that blister from it. And these socks kind of have that built into them. But I, unless I need the insulation, which I normally don't because we're on the go, I don't run an insulated sock anymore, like a heavy sock, unless I'm sitting around camp or whatever.
Yeah. Totally. But I did find the biggest difference I could make for my hiking stuff was buying them socks, man. That what a game changer that was. And then I carry Luco tape just in case things get squirrely for some reason. But
yeah, me too. Or duct tape or whatever.
Spend some time with your boots before the hunt too, right? Like don't buy a new pair of boots and just go hunting.
Yeah, I mean, like I think we're sort of at the point now where if guys are going to do it with like 3 months to season, like do it, but you got to put miles on them. I definitely won't be changing my boots this year. I've had those Handwags, I think 2.5 years now, and have a whole bunch of miles on them, and they're still great.
I bought them the Handwag Series 2 GTXs here a few months ago. I bet you I got over 60K on them already. Just hiking with a weighted pack. So
nice. What are you putting in your pack for weight?
I took
beavers. Timbits.
Man, I tell you what, trapping beavers is funner than throwing rocks at a sign. It's a good time. I could trap beavers all day. It's awesome.
Nice.
It's good fun for the kids. But for weight, I use a softener salt. I empty about the top of the bag out and ends up being about 35 pounds, 40 pounds.
Nice.
Yeah.
I've been hauling around my eldest daughter. She's like, I don't know. It's like 40 something pounds, 45 pounds, but she's like active weight because she's like punching me and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
she's a trooper. She likes to hike.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of become a little bit of an issue now because often I'll be like, okay, I'm going to go do something. And what I want to go do is like 17K from the truck in the middle of nowhere and go check a camera that's been there for 2 years. But what I end up doing is something that she can do because she doesn't like riding in the pack. She wants to hike herself, right?
Mm-hmm.
You see her with those photos and she's got trekking poles and little boots on. It's hilarious. The kid's going to be a slayer.
Yeah, that's awesome.
She's got more time in the bush than most dudes.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We got one. I Ketterman. Worst hunts.
Man, I should. Can you think of yours off the top of your head?
I don't know. I love hunting. Like,
I know one that we went hunting elk. This is years ago. This is like kind of when I first really started hunting away from home. Pretty dumb still, pretty young, but had a pair of elk trackers, 1,000-gram boots. Smoked my feet on day 2. That was it, man. Blistered out on the bottom. Had to hang out in camp like a bitch and watch everybody else hunt. That's where I learned the importance of boots and shit right there. But that was a terrible hunt. And, but I did call in a bull for a buddy real close. He missed it. He shot high, but that was a terrible one. And my tent setup sucked. My freaking sleeping pad setup sucked. I was super uncomfortable. Could hardly sleep. Feet were smoked. Like I never wanted to go home so bad in my life. And it was kind of after that, I was like, fuck this, I'm going to get my shit dialed. And I did. But yeah, that was probably my worst hunt right there.
Yeah. One time I don't know, worst hunt is, I don't know if I would call it worst, but going on a couple of years ago now, I shot an elk and it turned out to be a bad hit. Just wasn't a fatal hit. And we got on blood. I mean, it was one of those things where if that hit was perfect, it would have been the perfect hunt, the extreme opposite of what we're talking about. But it was one of those ones where we got an elk right away. I shot an elk right out of the gate. Gave it a little bit of time, got on blood, and then just the blood never stopped. And it was one of those things where it's like, oh fuck, this blood can't keep going. Let's keep walking it. Let's see what happens. And we just got so far from the trailhead, Mm-hmm. And our walk out that night was like, I can't remember. I don't know. You'd have to ask Chad, but our walk out was just brutal. We were out of water. We were out of food. We were out of patience, energy, time, emotions. Like we were out of everything. We were just like, we're both just mentally and physically tapped. Like that was it. We just spent like the last 20 hours working on finding this thing. It's pitch black, you know? And I think part of the issue was, I think one of us left our packs where I shot. Yeah. Yeah. And I think we didn't have the keys to the truck. So we had to drop down to a road, hike back to the truck, and then hike back to where I shot the elk, and then hike back to the truck again. And it was something crazy. It was like a 40 or 50 kilometer day or something like that. It was insane.
Yeah, that's shitty, man.
Wasn't fun. And then went back the next day, and like the whole herd, like everything was business as usual, except that we were missing the big herd bull that I shot. So yeah, that elk actually ended up turning up, I think, a full year later in a different area. Showed up on somebody else's cam, and somebody recognized it and sent me the photo.
Yeah. So it sucks when the guy has a wound. I've been there before. Yeah.
He lived, which is cool. It definitely made me feel a lot better about it. You know, I freaking lost a lot of sleep over that guy, because it was an elk he was the elk that I was trying to kill. I mean, he was the elk that I had my eye on, you know?
I'll tell you one thing about elk, man. They're hella tough. Like you gotta pump house some fuckers, or you ain't gonna find them.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the elk that I want to say whiffed on, but the elk that I didn't shoot this year, I mean, the only reasonable shot that he gave me was a frontal, and it was like a bad frontal. Like there's kind of stuff in the way and crap like that. And I was just like, this was the following the year that I had lost that elk that we're talking about. I just couldn't bring myself to do it. I'm like, unless I get like a clean shot, I'm not doing it this year.
Yeah, you learn, man. It just takes time, right? Everybody learns differently.
Yeah, it's funny too. Like after sharing that story with a few guys that have a lot of experience and have a crazy high body count like you have, they're like, well, you get your lumps eventually, man. It's good to get them out of the way, right?
I don't care who you are. And if you just started hunting, and no matter what you do and how much you train, you're going to have it happen once in a while. And the only guys that don't ever have it happen to them, when it happens, they don't know how to handle it. They don't know how to track blood for freaking a long ways. They don't know how to move slowly. I learned a lot from a buddy of mine helping me track. He's freaking bloodhound, man. Amazing tracker. Yeah. But he's done it. He's been on many with his dad and stuff, like marginal hits, and he can sniff out animals. Like I'd watch him like walk ahead, and he would turn over a leaf on the underside of it, and he'd find blood and shit like that. I'm just like, whoa, this guy.
Yeah, that's like chatty too, man. Like at the end of that blood trail for that elk I was talking about, Chad's like picking up pinpricks of blood like 300-400 yards apart.
The best thing you can do is carry a little bit of ribbon. I got some in my kill kit.
Yeah, me too.
If we get to a spot where last blood is like really like that's it. Like if it's two guys, like I'll have one guy just stay at last blood and then have another guy fan out and start, gridding. If you can't find it, then I just tie ribbon right there. That's last blood. Right.
Yeah.
And then start just gridding, I guess, and move slow. God, you can't move slow enough when you're tracking an animal. Like you just got to move like freaking molasses, man.
Unless you have a reason to move forward, don't.
And of course, we're talking in foliage. I'm not talking snow. You can track pretty good in snow usually. But.
Yeah, I've never had to do a track job in snow. Whenever I've shot anything in snow, it's just fallen over, thankfully, and then got it done. We
all practice so it doesn't happen, but eventually it does, it seems like.
Yeah. We've talked about this one before from Stephen. Oh, I'm going to wreck that name. Palazzo? Arrow setup.
You want to go ahead first?
I'm going to go ahead and say we're talking stick bows because I think we've talked about my compound setup quite a bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
I am shooting what is it?
He's got him right there.
Oh yeah, Black Eagle Rampage 400 spine. That's almost full length. Easton X-Knock 4 3-inch trad vanes, like a couple degree offset, not helical. A wrap, a 25 grain iron will impact collar, 100 grain iron will insert, and 100 grain point. So I am 225 up front. And the reason it's configured like that is so I can swap my broadheads between compound and stick bow. I only run, I think I run a 50 grain insert in the front of my compound arrow. 50 grain insert, 25 grain collar. So I have 175 in the front of my compound arrow.
What's your compound arrow weight?
520. It's heavy.
Gang.
Yeah.
I love it, man. I had a guy I was talking to the other day. He was hunting bears. He messaged me on Instagram. He's shooting like a 600 grain arrow or something out of his compound. I was like, man, that's so awesome.
I bet it's so quiet.
Oh, I freaking hit like a freight train, dude.
Yeah, like I'm shooting my compound's one of them new Matthews V3s, and I think it's set to 68. No, it's actually probably 70 because it was 73 and I backed it off a half turn, so it's probably around 70. But like I have to be careful what target I shoot because I'm like pulling the veins off of arrows because they're just skipping through targets. It's kind of I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I'm using the Danny Sturgis's
a new arrow.
The new arrow for me, Easton bear bow, traditional bear bow, Vision Quest, the white shafts. Pretty cool. New thing I've tried.
Traditional only, right? Is the name of it?
Trad only bear bow shafts or whatever. They're a 9 what the hell are they? 9.8 GPI.
Nice.
And I'm usually right around 200 up front is what that tuned out at. And I think total arrow weight there was 525 or something, 535.
What spine arrow are you shooting?
Them are 400s out of that Tolkien, 50-pound Tolkien.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
But I ended up I had some gold tip inserts and ballistic collars I was using for the gold tip trad bow arrows. I can't remember what they're called. And they're 0.204. Same with the Axis was these bear bow shafts were 0.204. So they matched up good and I just used them. I don't know if I'd go back to them. The insert 75 grains, ballistic collar, I think was like 18 grains. And then I use a 125 grain point. I think I total out around 200 up front. Seems weird. But I don't think I'd go back to that setup. I just used them because I had them, and I'm cheap.
Yeah, I think that iron will stuff is sort of like I don't know if there's any way to improve on it.
No, it's pretty good.
Yeah, like I've fired these rampages. Like these rampages are they're a light arrow too. Like I'm 500 grains all in. I don't know if it's light enough in here, but they're a lighter arrow. I think they're 8 point something per inch, and and they're a little thinner walled than like say an Axis or like that trad only arrow. And like I fired these straight into a rock before by accident, and no issues.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I got a question from a guy. Oh man, I lost it now. What the hell is it? Hold on. Best tactics.
No, I got a question. I got a question for you then.
Sure.
How come big mule deer like Gangster rap so much?
I don't know. It's crazy though. I do that like even if I'm out looking for bears and I don't see any bears, I'll play Gangster rap and you start seeing bears every time. And the more gangster, the better. The more and the louder it is. I'm not even kidding. Just give it a try.
It works, man.
Awesome.
We were struggling in Southern Alberta, and we started bumping rap, and everything came together.
Oh yeah. The title of this podcast should be Gangster Rap Kills Big Bucks.
100%. 100%. I'm just going to have gangster rap playing in the background.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I don't know if it actually helps, but it feels like it does sometimes.
No, it helps. I've seen it.
So I had a guy ask best tactics for hunting whitetails on.
Sorry, what? I forgot we were here.
Best tactics for hunting whitetails on summer feeding patterns before scrape lines and pre-rut.
I have no idea, so that's all you.
So a couple things. First thing, for Alberta guys, season opens, up north, August 25th. So you got a few more days, but for me, it's September 1st. And they're usually shedding velvet right around then. And once they shed the velvet, they become a whole new animal. So you only have a few days to really get it dialed in. And then another thing too is if they bust you, even setting up early season, you're not going to see them again. They're going to switch patterns. So you really want to be careful and don't crowd them too much. One of my best stands that I hunt for early season is about 400, 500 yards off where they feed, and I catch them on a pinch point coming back out. So, and it's easy to slip into in the morning. I don't bump anything. And then I clear a trail right to the back of my stand, and that's how I sneak in on that set. But that's early season. You can do a few different little things too. You could, if it's your property or whatever, sometimes I'll take the top wire and I'll fold it down over the next wire and I'll make them jump where I want them to jump, because deer like to jump on, low fences and stuff. So I'll do something like that and make them cross where I want them to cross if I got to stand real tight to a fence or something. But yeah, nice. Basically just use your cameras and try and get them patterned out and then make a move by September 1 or whenever your season opens.
A topic that we should talk about is like trail cam tactics and how to hunt cams when they're in place, because a lot of people think that the cam does everything for you. And I mean, in BC, the people doing regulation seem to think that trail cams kill bucks. So,
well, I could tell you, I think that trail cams have kind of lost their way in the fact that everybody seems to put them on some sort of attractant, which is fine because it does one thing and it gives you a head count of what's in the area. Mm-hmm. But the actual trail cam was really designed to watch trails and you pretty much use them like you're going to hunt. So that's how I use like 90% of my cams. I put a camera where I'd want to put a stand, and then I'd no attractant. So I catch totally natural movement and 100% when that deer is going to move through there. So I pretty much hunt with my cameras. I will have a few cams on salt and stuff just to get a head count. Mm-hmm. But when you start running on salt, that's all it does is give you head count. It doesn't really give you no patterning techniques at all.
Mm-hmm. Do you find when the rut rolls in, I mean, I guess we're talking whitetails. I kind of find hunting blacktail is similar, but you find when the rut rolls in, the bucks just abandon that salt anyways?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. They're searching for does. There's different phases of the rut too. Like, they'll lock down with a doe, or they'll they'll be seeking a doe, or they'll be cruising downwind to bedding ears. I arrowed a buck one time who was, there was a ridge, and I knew that doe was bedded on the down facing side of that ridge. And I set up on top of it, and he would just the bucks would just cruise up there downwind, just checking does. And I hung a stand there and arrowed a buck like first morning. Yeah. Stuff. So different things.
Yeah. I mean, the only help that salt gives, like if you get salt in there and get them on the salt and try to get a pattern on the salt, I think if you have does or cows hanging around it, you can sometimes bring bulls into it. And I don't think you're going to bring in the crankers that you want, but you'll at least know they're there, you know?
100%. Yeah, it gives you a head count. Know what's kicking around.
Yeah, like in elk country. I mean, cameras in elk country are freaking... I think not that many people use them, and I think they're like such an invaluable tool. I mean, by the time I'm coming through country in September, pulling cameras down or pulling cards or whatever, I know who's there, and I know when they were there last, right?
I think for you, it's important too, like, because you're in a 6-point zone, are you?
Yep.
So you kind of got to know if there is legal bulls. For me, I don't really scout for elk or moose because it doesn't matter. I'm just chasing the rut anyway, right?
Yeah. So different tactic. Like, I mean, I was telling you, there's places in BC that don't produce 6 points and have 6-point zones, or produce very few 6 points rather.
Yeah, there was a place in Alberta too. Down, where was that? They were a 6-point zone too, and they ended up with like 300 and some inch 5 points. No 6 points.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Still not legal.
No.
Funny.
So I'm not a fan of 6-point hunting. I don't think I could do it.
It can be tough. It can be real frustrating for sure. You had one more, Wace?
Yeah. Did I bring it up already?
I think you might have. Drew from Selway asked stalking open country bucks, but we kind of covered that with Cartmill's question there.
Yeah, I would, for stalking open country bucks, I would spend some time on some glass and invest in good glass, and then really be particular about your moves. Because as soon as you, like, I wouldn't just go guns a-blazing. I would just make sure you're making the right moves at the right times.
And make sure Drew practices with his compound.
Yeah, 100%, 120 yards.
Yeah, I want to see Drew with like a slider. I want him to write in and ask about vein clearance on a fast eddy, like just bottomed all the way out.
One thing on my arrow setup too, I was going to say, so I went to 3 3-inch parabolics, right wing feathers. And I use wraps, and then
you're so trad.
I am very trad.
Are your wraps made of any kind of bark?
Birch bark wraps?
Or algae?
No, just
pond scum wrap.
And then just a right wing helical. And yeah, it's good. They work good. I'm not too tacky on that if it works. I still have a bunch of arrows fletched up with 5-inch shield cuts. I really like those too, but they're noisy.
They look cool.
They look cool. Noisy as shit.
It's like having a paper airplane on the back of your arrow.
Yeah, I really kind of want to try the trad arrows or trad veins a little bit, but whatever.
They're not that trad, bro.
I got a million feathers I got to burn up, so
we could literally just have a fire and melt them.
No, I got some pink ones and brown and black.
Nice.
Somebody asked how you stay in shape.
That was hard. He's a fucker. He's a bastard. How I stay in shape. This is coming from a guy. So every fall, like before hunting season, we start doing like running challenges in one of our kind of group chats with some of our buddies. All guys that we kind of have known for a long time. And we do like this 100K challenge, right? And Hart's the guy that will start the challenge, then just whacks it in like 2 days. Just hammer out 2 50-kilometer days, drink a mountain ops and pass out.
He's in shape.
Oh yeah, dude's a beast.
He's a good guy, eh?
Yeah, oh yeah, he's the best. You'll meet him at some point. You'll get a kick out of Hart. He's one of the few super successful southern BCL countries that I know, and just like him and my other buddy Travis, they're like they're just killing the southern BCL game. And I mean, they're both studs. Like Travis killed the Doll Sheep last year with him and Hart went. And the year before that, I they killed a nice stone. I think Hart's been on this podcast and he talks about he arrowed he got his first stone sheep and happened to get it with the bow. So that's cool too.
Nice. That's insane that you're killing sheep with a bow.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I met Travis when I was talking earlier about that elk that I shot that wasn't lethal. I met Travis that day. Hart brought him with him to, they met us in the field to look for that elk, me and Chatty. So
nice. Yeah. Man, I know lots of guys bear hunting too. Like lots of people are getting into bear hunting. I've seen lots of first bear kills this year. That was pretty wicked for Alberta.
Yeah.
Alberta guys.
I think it's like one of the few things guys can do right now, right? Everybody's going stir crazy from all this COVID crap. So go out bear hunting.
I think it's freaking wicked, man. Kill as many as I want everybody to hunt just to help moose calves, and stuff. I'm excited. There's lots of people hunting bears.
I have hardly any bears in my spots this year. Like both my spots that I keep track of, no bears. Like I think how many photos have I sent you? Like 4, maybe?
Yeah, not very many.
And it's all they're just cruising through. They just, what's going on? Out of there.
Yeah. Yeah. Going back to that guy too that asked about what a big bear is. I think you'll know when you see a big bear, you'll be like, that's a big bear. But I would just spend some time trying to look at as many as you can, It's the only way you're going to learn.
Giddy up.
But.
All right. Sing the jingle that we end podcasts with.
What, DMX? Where the hood at?
I don't know. Is there a jingle? No.
I don't know.
Thanks for listening to the podcast. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe and leave us a review. If you want to support the podcast, please check out the gear on our website at wildernesslocals.net.